Hey guys, Captain Dylan Hubbard here at Hubbard's Marina, and it's that time. It is time for our Sunday night live stream show, and it is a beautiful Sunday night, February 20th at 8:32 p.m. We're a little late tonight on our live stream show, but we have good reason because we are live on a bunch of different platforms. I don't even know what they are now, but Trovo and Twitch. I don't know what Twitch is, but I think it has something to do with video games. Oh, look, we have people joining our channel. That's cool. On Trovo. I don't know what Trovo is either, but hey, we're streaming live. So we are going to be talking tonight a little bit about weather, what we're catching, what's coming up, what's going on, and giving away free trips as always. So you can win over $800 in free fishing trips. All you have to do is comment one time on the Hubbard's Marina Facebook stream. So go to facebook.com, find the Hubbard's Marina Facebook page, find the live video, comment once. You can watch on Trovo, Twitch, YouTube, on Instagram, or on Facebook. But you do have to comment one time on the Hubbard's Marina Facebook page live stream in order to be eligible to win. Also, don't forget to subscribe on YouTube, follow us on Instagram, like our page on Facebook. And I don't know what you do on Trovo and Twitch, but do those things too. We are going to be getting started here shortly. Big shout out to Jessica Hinkle for sending us some stars while we were getting started there. Calvin Brisker as well. Thank you so much, Calvin. Appreciate it, man. We are getting rolling here on the live stream show, and it is an interesting week ahead of weather. We got some nice weather finally, a nice long stretch of good weather. Paul Floyd, appreciate those stars on Facebook. Thank you so much, buddy. Richard Blazak as well. Thank you, buddy. Want to give a shout out as well to our friends at Gator Gyms. This show and all our live stream shows are brought to you by the good people over at Gator Gyms Tackle at 3301 Pinellas Point Drive South in St. Petersburg. So appreciate Gator Gyms for making that happen for us. Don't forget to comment. Tell us where you're watching from. Also, don't forget to give the video a thumbs up or a like for us. Share the video with your favorite fishing group on Facebook or your timeline. Don't forget, again, to subscribe on YouTube. If you want a chance to win those free trips, one last reminder, you have to comment one time on the Hubbard's Marina Facebook stream. So don't forget to do that, guys. We are going to get rolling here with some photos, show you guys what we're catching inshore, so that way you guys can see what's going on inshore as well. So first things first, let's see what we're catching inshore right now. We've been seeing some of these black drum. Nick Atkins, appreciate those 200 stars, buddy. Thank you, man. So we've been seeing some nice black drum around the back bay waters, the bayous, the creeks, the river mouths, a lot of dock line action for those black drum. And then the bonnethead sharks, a lot of bonnethead sharks around Tampa Bay and the passes for sure. Seeing a lot of bonnetheads along the beaches as well. If you're out there surf fishing on the beach, you can have an opportunity to catch a lot of those guys. Live or even dead shrimp on the bottom, lighter tackle, tons of fun for those bonnethead sharks. The redfish action been going real well along those dock lines, residential canals, and mangrove shorelines. Oyster bars, a lot of areas to find those redfish. Shallow waters, definitely key. Shallow afternoon waters where that dark bay mud has been getting some sun and getting warmed up. And it's definitely heating up the redfish bite in the later afternoon. Doing real well on those guys. Soft plastics working real well. Slow moving soft plastics. Live shrimp also a great option for the redfish. A lot of sheep's head around, local docks, piers, bridges, seawalls, rock piles, anywhere around that structure with some growth is going to attract those sheep's head. Smaller shrimp, small pieces of shrimp, cut oysters, clams, barnacles, fiddler crabs, all great options for sheep's head. Snook action's been heating up with the warmer water. As that water warmed up this past week, we definitely saw some good snook action as of late. So good time to get out there as long as you have the opportunity. Try to capitalize on, again, that later afternoon bite inshore has been best. Once that water warms up a little bit, look for those areas that are sun-baked, wind-protected. That's where you're going to see the best action inshore. Brian Eakins, appreciate those stars, buddy. Some nice speckled trout around the passes, along the beaches, and along those pockets of the grass flats, too. Vicky Armstrong Pool, thanks for those stars. Appreciate you. Lots of good trout, even on the beaches, too. The fishing piers of the beaches, been seeing some of those trout along that area, the sandy drop-offs along the passes. So trout bites been a little sporadic, little hit and miss, but definitely been seeing them. But mostly inshore right now, redfish and sheep's head are the big things. But these little warming trends, we see little spikes of snook action inshore too. So good opportunities to catch those species. You just got to pay attention to the weather and the tides and try to catch those premium tidal times where that tidal flow is going to permit you to really capitalize on those feeding fish. So lunar minors, majors, all good opportunities. A lot of mangrove snapper near shore. We're working our way a little deeper now, showing you what we've been catching near shore. We've been doing real well on mangrove snapper as of late. Deeper waters, been seeing those bigger mangroves, but we're catching nice mangroves, even occasionally on our Hub private charters, 10-hour all days. The keeper red grouper, too. Definitely seeing some nice keeper red grouper out there on the Flying Hub 2 on our deep water 39 and 44-hour trips, fishing around that closure line, 120 foot of water or 20 fathoms. Beyond that, we can't keep grouper, but what we're doing is fishing right around that fence or closure area, and there's some deeper areas that are open too, so we're able to keep those red grouper as long as we're fishing inside that fence or inside the closed area. Stephen Batchelor, appreciate those stars, man. Thank you. A lot of hogfish. A lot of hogfish. Doing really well on the hogfish lately. This keeper red grouper came up. If you notice there's two different broke off hooks in this grouper's mouth. So pretty cool. That fish was eventually caught, but it got broke off twice. Bit a third time and finally lost the battle. Came up off the bottom. So pretty fat red grouper as of late. Doing real well out there on that deeper water stuff when the weather cooperates. Wanted to get out there tomorrow on our 12-hour extreme slow pitch jigging trip, but unfortunately the weather got the best of us. But the hogfish bite near shore, that's the big news this past week. Definitely been seeing a ton of those hogfish. That little warming trend not only had the snook excited inshore, but we saw those hogfish near shore really kick up for us too. The hogfish bites should continue to be good for us all the way through March into April. So great time to make it out there. Mike Hart, what's going on, buddy? Appreciate those stars. Thanks, man. Lots of hogfish. And the hogfish, they just keep coming. They keep coming. Lots and lots of those hogfish. Lighter tackle, live shrimp, knocker rigs, hog balls, those jig heads, great options. We're seeing a couple red grouper on our 10-hour all days too, but mostly those hogfish, lane snapper, and some nice mangrove snapper mixed in. Plus, I forgot about the big porgies. The big porgies, that's something to write home about as well. But the hogfish, they just won't quit. They won't quit. They keep coming. And we're catching hogfish on our 5-hour trips, but really seeing good numbers of them there on the 10-hour all day. Definitely the best opportunity to dial in on the hogfish has been the 10-hour all day. But we're catching them pretty well on the 5-hour half day too. So you never know. You might get them on the half day. You might get them on the all day. But a good half-day trip's been 10, 15 keeper hogfish a good 10-hour trip. I mean, sometimes we're upwards of 25, 30 keeper hogfish. So definitely a better opportunity to kind of dial in on them on those 10-hour trips. Mike D, appreciate those stars, buddy. Thank you so much. Rosemary Shoop as well. Thank you. So besides that, guys, let's see what else we're talking about here. Weather. Kind of started talking about it a little bit. Wanted to make sure we showed you. If you go to hubbardsmarina.com, click fishing trips, scroll down to the weather links page, you'll find this beautiful page here, our weather links page. You can go over to the wind finder forecast, go to that 5 and 10 hour forecast area, and we're going to start there. And as you can see, beautiful little week of weather. Unfortunately, a little bit breezy there Monday and into Tuesday, but it's not really going to affect us near shore since it's an east wind, that high pressure trying to settle in behind this front. Doesn't really do a good job of it, and then all of a sudden it just gets gorgeous. Wednesday, Thursday into Friday, there is a little front coming through. That front really weakened since last time I look at this forecast. They were calling for some pretty serious weather there Saturday, but it looks like that's odd. North wind, then it starts clocking around out of the east, and then bam, a secondary front looks like it slams us, and that secondary front looks like it's serious. So interesting. Weather's changed in the last 24 hours quite significantly. Looks like, again, still holds true. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday looks best. But the front that might have been coming through Saturday looks like it's severely weakened and kind of moves out of the area. And then all of a sudden we get another front Saturday night. That means business. Look at that. I put away my jeans today. Florida, you always get me. I always think wintertime is over, and you get that week and a half stretch of high 70s, low 80-degree temps, and you're like, oh, yeah, I can put away the jackets. Inevitably, as soon as you do, you get one of these days. Look at that. High pressure, a temperature of 46 degrees at 10 a.m. Oh, my gosh. I'm going to die. That's not cool. Michael Perry, appreciate those stars, buddy. Thank you so much. So it gets cold again. That's not cool, man. Kaylee Floyd, Charmaine, appreciate those stars as well. So let's look and see on our weather links page. Again, back underneath fishing trips, go down to weather links. You can find this weather links page. We're going to scroll all the way to the bottom to our spaghettymodels.com, Mike's weather page. Our good buddy over there at Mike's weather page has this website. We're going to look at this because I'm interested to see what is going on and what's causing this. All right, so this is Wednesday. Beautiful weather. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. This is Friday over here. And I'll zoom in a little bit so you can see. I'm going to have to grab this bad boy. So, yeah, that's why. All right. So, Wednesday is right here. Looks beautiful. No frontal boundaries, no pressure gradients. Thursday, the same. That front's kind of looming above us, not really doing much. That high pressure's way off to our northeast, not bothering us, but enough to give us that increased offshore wind. Friday, that front starts to push in, and then this is what I'm interested in. All right. So the front comes through Saturday like it was supposed to, but stalls right on top of us. And that's what creates the serious weather. It stalls right on top of us. And when these frontal boundaries, these low pressure gradients stall on top of us, you see this line right here, that dotted line that's, I'll zoom in a little bit so you can see it better. That like kind of cream orangish colored dotted line, that's not good. So the front stalls on top of us becomes an occluded front. That's why you see that red and the blue. That's an occluded front, and it creates a weakness in the upper atmosphere, and it's going to sweep. Look at that. 1, 2, 3, 4 frontal boundaries. That's going to be some serious, severe weather sweeping across the southwest United States, across northern Mexico, and it's just going to ride that train right into Florida. So, interesting. Okay, so beautiful week of weather followed by complete junk. But that complete junk looks like it, again, isn't going to be here until late this upcoming weekend, probably a week from today. So, Felice Padilla, appreciate those stars. And Paul Floyd, thank you so much for those 200 stars. So as far as weather goes, best fishing days. The opportunity to catch the most fish is going to be Thursday and Friday. Near shore, offshore, it don't matter. That's going to be the best time to go for sure. I would suggest the Friday 10-hour all-day trip. Last time I looked, the Thursday trip was starting to fill up. The Friday 10-hour all-day had a lot of room left on it, so that's what I'd suggest. Or the Thursday, Friday half-day trips. Also, the Friday, I'm sure, let's double check before I open my mouth. I think we have another option for you guys as well. But definitely Friday 10-hour trip, yes. So let's see here. Yeah, only 11 people on Friday's 10-hour all-day coming up. We've been sticking in those 10-hour all-days here and there on Fridays to try to accommodate more people because a lot of people are going on those 10-hour all-day trips because we're doing so well on the hogfish. Thursday's 10-hour has 50 people on it, only a few spots left. Friday has 50 open spots. So lots of room this coming Friday on the 10-hour all day. We've also got an extreme trip in there Wednesday. Weather looks pretty good for that. Got plenty of half-day opportunities this upcoming week. So great time to get out there, capitalize on that good fishing opportunities for those hogfish. All right, so let's see here. What else do we want to chat about before we get into your questions? Again, if you guys have questions, don't forget, you got to text them to that phone number right there, guys. If you ask a question in the comments, it goes away. We can't see it. So you got to text us your question to that phone number, 727-393-1947. Make sure you text us your questions, and we are going to answer them very shortly. Want to give a shout out to some upcoming events. Remember, the Captain Dylan Hubbard website page, captdylanhubbard.com. We have the upcoming events tab of that site right on that page. So if you go to, again, Captain, C-A-P-T, Dylan Hubbard, so captdylanhubbard.com, click upcoming events. You're going to see the calendar of upcoming events. And you can see today we had our Bass Pro Shop seminar at 2 p.m. It was a great time. If you weren't there, you missed an awesome seminar. It was pretty good. I thought so, at least. We did film it. We will post it up to our website, so don't worry. You won't miss out. And then we've got all the upcoming events right here on this page too. But want to make sure we tell you about, we've got this coming March 12th, we've got our Norm Schwarzkopf Memorial Shoot supporting the Children's Home. And we're going to be up at Tampa Bay Sporting Clays doing our Saturday morning Real Animals radio show live from a remote location, talking all about fishing. And then we're going to get off the radio, grab our shotguns and our golf carts, and go cruising around Tampa Bay Sporting Clays and shoot sporting clays for charity. It's going to be awesome. My wife's probably going to outshoot me again. She does very well with a shotgun. It's a little unnerving. And then the very next day, we go back to Bass Pro Shops. That's right, March 13th. We've got our Bass Pro Shop seminar at 2 p.m. So March 13th is our next Bass Pro Shop seminar at 2 p.m. March 24th, we've got our Tampa CCA banquet. Myself, Cap Mike Anderson, and our better halves are going to be there at the captain's table March 24th for the Tampa CCA Bass Pro Shops banquet. It's going to be a lot of fun. And then April 19th is the next Bartow Ford fishing conversation. You don't want to miss that. Free food, free bull bay rods, free Ingle cooler stuff, a ton of swag from the real animals. And yours truly and Mike Mahoney are going to be tag teaming an offshore fishing seminar. It's going to be wild. Mike Mahoney, if you've never met him, if you've never listened to those shows, he's a wild man. He's a little bit crazy, and it promises to be entertaining. I know I will be laughing quite a bit. So that's going to be a good fishing conversation to join for sure. Again, April 19th from 7 to 9 p.m. Make sure you mark your calendars. With that, let's give away a free fishing trip. Y'all want to win some free stuff? Let's give away a free 10-hour all-day for 2 guests. That is a free 10-hour all-day for 2 guests. That is a $238 value. $238 value. Let's see who won a free 10-hour all-day trip for 2 guests. $238 value goes to Rose Robinson. Rose Robinson. Congratulations, Rose. Remember, if you're picked as a lucky winner, you got to text us at this phone number right here, your full home address within 5 minutes to prove you're watching live. So make sure you text us your full home address, Rose Robinson, to that phone number within 5 minutes. We still got a 5-hour half day for 2 guests and a 39-hour fishing trip for 1 guest to give away too, so lots more to come. Mike Perry, appreciate those stars, buddy. Let's see. Don't forget, if you want to win free fishing trips, you got to text that phone number right there, guys. Or you don't have to text the phone number. If you want to win free fishing trips, you have to comment 1 time on the Hubbard's Marina Facebook stream. Sorry, you got to text that phone number if you have a question, is what I meant to say. So with that, let's get into some questions. Let's see what you guys want to talk about, because I don't want to sit here and talk for an hour. I want to answer your questions. I want to talk about what you want to talk about. Southern Fortune Fishing Tournament. That's right. Appreciate y'all reminding me, reaching out. Hopefully everybody's having a good night over there on the East Coast. So some guys came out fishing with us on a private 39 hours. Some buddies from the East Coast actually came out and chartered a 39-hour trip. They had a great time, caught a ton of fish, and they fish hard over there on the East Coast. They were experienced anglers. They came over here. They wanted to catch some mangrove snapper and grouper, and boy, did they ever. They had a great time. I think it was like early November-ish. No, maybe late October. I don't know exactly when they came. But they got back and they're like, you know, it'd be really cool is a year-long fishing tournament for offshore species. So they put together the Southern Fortune Fishing Tournament, and it's really, really cool. It's 365 days, 30 species, and they're trying to get a 10 grand payout for each one of those species. So it's a really, really cool event. Tons and tons and tons of prizes. Again, it's 365 days, and the entry fee was like very low. I forget what it was, but 365-day tournament, you can't beat that. So there's some really, really cool opportunities to win some free money in that Southern Fortune Fishing Tournament. So check it out. John McGann, appreciate those stars. Stephen Batchelor, appreciate those stars. Thank you so much, guys. And let's get into some more questions. Let's see what else you guys have to ask. Any updates on Hubbard's Beach? Unfortunately, we don't have any good updates on the sand situation, and that is not Hubbard's Beach, guys. Let's get that real straight. I do like the accreditation, and I will take the property if they want to give it to me, but that is mostly state sovereign land with a little bit of city easement, a lot of DOT land, and then Army Corps of Engineer county land with a little tiny spit belonging to Ben Mala and the owners of John's Pass properties. So not Hubbard's Beach, but there is a lot of sand by Hubbard's Marina and by John's Pass Boardwalk. And currently the update is basically we got an appropriation from the House. So the Florida House of Representatives appropriations went through, and basically they've appropriated half the funds for about the $2 million dredge projects. But what happens is when the state appropriates funds, they won't fully fund a project like that. They're going to give you 50% of the funds, and they're matching funds, which means the other 50% has to get raised by either the county, the city, or the county and the city, and then potentially there's a bunch of different ways they could match that with assessments, private business assessments, resident assessments, taxes. There's a lot of different ways they could play that ball. So now that becomes the conversation, is how to match those appropriations. So we're really not much of an update other than it's moving forward, and now we're just in a place where we got to kind of talk about the money aspect behind it. John McGann, appreciate those stars. Chris as well, and Rick Rogers, appreciate you, man. So that's where we're at as far as the sand issue. Let's see, what other questions do we have? I've always wondered how back in the day offshore people found spots without GPS. It was much more simple than you think. Back in the day, there was a lot less people out there, a lot less pressure. Fishing was a lot different. And back in the day, they would use what they call triangulation. So you'd go out there and you'd line up that hotel on the beach with this hotel over there and that tree, and you'd triangulate your fishing spot using landmarks, visual landmarks. And they'd find hard bottom with the old soap on a rope. Literally, they'd use a big lead, and that lead had a little indentation on the underside of it. They'd put soft soap in there and drop it down, and if it came up with pieces of coral or stone, they would know that it was hard bottom. And so you'd find that hard bottom, and that was your new fishing spot. You'd triangulate it and try to remember, all right, it took me 20 minutes running at this RPM out of this pass, and I'm triangulated with these three landmarks, and that was your fishing spot that you had to try to remember. Then along came Loran A, which was the predecessor of GPS. They had Loran A, and I think it went Loran B. I know there was a Loran C. This is all well before my time, so I'm sure someone will correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. But I know it was Loran A, and I know there was a Loran C. Then at some point they came out with the bottom machine, and originally it was a paper bottom machine. So instead of it just scrolling across a screen, it would actually, there was like a little graph and a little pen, and it would it was like almost like a seismograph, and it would write the show, and they got more and more finer detail, and it was really cool. When I was growing up, my father would come. We used to have our charter boats behind our home. So the charter boats would come home, and I'd hop on the charter boats, and Captain Sal, my father, Captain Doug, they would always give me the roll of paper from that day's fishing trips. And I would go through and try to pick out the best fishing spot of the day and try to show my dad. And he would give me the thumbs up or thumbs down on whether it was a bait show or a ledge. And that's how I learned how to read a bottom machine. So got very familiar with it very early by reading those old paper machine printouts. That's kind of the overall very quick evolution of going from trying to remember how long it took you and lining up 3 spots and using soap on a rope to Lorraine and the paper bottom machines. And nowadays you've got a Seakeeper gyroscope in your bottom of your center console. You've got a FLIR system that's infrared, lets you see at night, or night vision. They've also got the trolling motor that GPS spots locks. You've got anchor pullers. You've got quad outboard Yamaha engines. It's nuts, the technology that they have today. The Simrad overlay of your GPS, the Garmin relief shading that shows you all the different spots in the Gulf of Mexico in 3D. It's pretty crazy. Side scan, all the technology that's out there today. So the fish don't have a shot, because back in the day, they used soap on a rope and didn't have even Lorraine, and there was only a few people out there doing it, and they didn't venture very far from shore. Nowadays, everybody and their brother is going out there, and they've got 2, 3, 4, 5 engines on the back of the boat going further and further and further, and there's more and more people out there. So it's great that fishing is becoming more and more popular, but we're running into an issue because there's only so many fish in the sea. Whether you agree or disagree on how many red snapper are out there or how good of a job they're doing counting this fish or that fish, you can't disagree on the fact that there's only so many fish out there. And the more people that are out there doing it, the more effective they are with increased technologies. We're going to run into issues. So it's definitely becoming more and more of a poignant problem that we're going to have to fix, or at least look at or address that fact that we just have a ever-growing need to go offshore and utilize a limited resource. So management is going to have a big challenge trying to put their finger on that use. But that's how they used to find a fishing spot. See how far of a rabbit trail we got on from that question. Let's see. What other questions do we have? We are coming down March 8th to fish with you guys. We've rented rods, ordered bait. Do we need to bring any special rigs, or does the first mate rig up the rented reels? If you rent a rod and reel from us, we provide your rod, reels, and all your tackle. So keep that in mind. If you rent a rod and reel from us, we provide all your rods, reels, and all your tackle. So Jason Richmond has a interesting comment that I want to hit on real quick. Close commercial fishing and just have charters and recreational fishing fish out there. Now, I am a recreational fisherman who has a charter boat and party boat. I picture myself a recreational fisherman. But keep in mind, guys, I'm not in any way a commercial fisherman. But keep in mind, the people that live in Michigan, Ohio, Georgia, Tennessee, they have a right to enjoy our Gulf of Mexico resource too. They're United States citizens as well. And the only way they can get fresh caught Gulf seafood is by going to their local fish market or their local high-end restaurant that has fish flown in or drove in. People in New York, Boston, they like Gulf grouper just like you guys, and Gulf hogfish, and the only way for them to enjoy it is commercial fishermen, commercial fishing. And keep in mind, commercial quotas are significantly minuscule compared to the quotas of much of the recreational charter boat, party boat sectors. So keep in mind, you can close commercial fishing, but that doesn't solve the issue. That just takes one piece of the pie and gives it back. There's still only a limited pie and a limited number of fish in the sea that you still have to kind of get a finger on how many people are out there, how many people are fishing, how many of the fish are landing. The commercial fishermen, they hail out before they leave. They give 3-hour notice before they come in. Every fish is weighed, measured. There's scientists standing by. They have a vessel monitoring system attached to their boat. Most of them have electronic monitoring in the form of cameras in real time videotaping what they're doing on their boats. So they are the most restricted, most highly regulated fishery in the Gulf of Mexico. So you can close commercial fishing, but you take out a huge, huge benefit to our science. Most of fishery science comes from commercial fishermen because they're consistently fishing all year round at a consistent rate. And they have a lot of scientific observers on board. They have to have observers. A certain percentage of trips have observers on board in real time. So you lose a huge chunk of science, and you really don't gain much by cutting commercial fishing. So I hear that comment a lot, and definitely want to make sure we hit on that. Yeah. Let's see. Mike Perry, appreciate those stars, man. Missed the January slow pitch trip on the Flying Hub 2. Want to get back out there. Yeah, we rescheduled we didn't reschedule. We went out fishing in January on a Flying Hub 2 slow pitch trip. We were supposed to do another one tomorrow, but unfortunately, kind of stinks. The weather got the best of us. They're calling probably 15, 20 mile an hour winds. And it's still upwards. Last time I looked, it was almost 7 foot on that offshore buoy. So it really wasn't calming down for us like it was supposed to. And super frustrating because I wanted to get out there. I did spend way too much money at Bass Pro Shops today buying up some more slow pitch jigs to get ready for tomorrow too. So very frustrating. We couldn't get out there, but we're going to try to do it again here soon. And we'll have another date from March coming up very soon. Tell us about upcoming shark trips. So the shark fishing trips start in March. The shark trips are one of those things where it's not really a trip where you're taking home meat. It's not a trip where you're actively fishing. It's a trip where we run an hour out, we anchor up, we chum and hang out for 3 hours, trying to hook a really big shark or Goliath grouper, and then we come back. It's not a fish it's not a trip where you're getting to take home any fish. It's not a trip where you're actively holding a rod and reel and hooking the fish. We set out 3 or 4 rods, we anchor up, we chum hard, use big baits, and we hopefully hook a really big shark or Goliath grouper, and then fight and work really hard to keep it hooked and get it to the boat, take a few photos and release it, and then set back up the rods if there's time and hopefully try to hook 1 or 2 or 3 more. Some trips you catch a handful of small sharks. Some trips you catch 1 really big shark. Some trips will catch a couple big Goliath grouper and no sharks. Some trips it's a long 3 hours of chumming and nothing cooperates. So it is a cool trip. You see a lot of cool stuff. We anchor up down there by the shipping channel, so you'll see big ships coming in and out a lot of times. We'll see squid, flying fish sometimes. It's definitely a lot of fun, but it's not a trip where you're going to bring home a bag of fillets to cook up, so just keep that in mind. But very interesting experience. Let's see. When you get hung up in the bottom using heavy monofilament like 80, 100, or 120 plus, how in the world do you break that heavy of a line? It's not fun. It's not fun, I'll tell you that. But how you break it is wrapping the line around the side of the reel. Don't try to hold it. And then pointing the rod tip at the bottom. And the biggest thing that I do is being tall helps a lot, and having longer arms. I'll point the rod tip at the bottom, straight down, and I'll reel down and bend over way over the side of the boat and reel down as far as I can. And then I'll grab the main line and wrap it around the side of the reel once or twice, get that rod as far away from me as I possibly can, and then start to just pull straight back. You do not bend the rod. You don't want the rod bending because that's how you break it. Just keep that rod pointed straight at the bottom and just pull up until something breaks. Hopefully not your back, but it's not that difficult. It's really just, it's most difficult when you've got really good monofilament. If you got braided line, it's going to break a lot easier because you're probably going to break somewhere in your top shot or at your line-to-line knot. That braided line doesn't have any stretch, whereas monofilament has a lot of stretch. So if you're in 200 foot of water with a 100-pound mono, it's real difficult to break out sometimes because you can reel all the way down and bend way over and pull, and the line just keeps stretching. It doesn't ever break. So that can get a little challenging. But Bill Brittis had a great idea. Just call for the crew. We'll come over and try to help you. But it definitely is a little bit tricky with heavier leader. But just got to know the tricks of the trade for sure. Let's see. Would a 4,000 battle spinning reel be good for a 10-hour trip? Yeah. A spinning reel, or I like on a 10-hour trip, I'll bring like a 4/0 size conventional reel. Something with 25, 30, 35 pounds of drag is plenty. Any more than that works too, but it's just overkill. And then a spinning reel, like a 3,000 or 4,000 series spinning reel. 5,000 starts to get a little too big. But a 4,000 series spinning reel with 20, 30-pound braided line or 20, 30-pound mono. And then that conventional with 25, 30, 35 pounds of drag and about 40-pound monofilament. Maybe 50-pound monofilament's all you need. Those two things, those two rod and reel combos are perfect for a 10-hour trip. It is time to give away another free trip. Let's see who won a 10-hour all day for 2 guests, 5-hour half day for 2 guests. 5-hour half day for 2 guests. That's $150 value. Let's see who won that 5-hour half day for 2 guests. The lucky winner is Chuck Clark from Eustis, Florida. Check it in. Congratulations, Chuck Clark. All right, so with that, we're going to answer some more of y'all's questions, and hopefully you sent yours in. Remember, if you do have a question, you got to text us at that phone number that you see below on the screen right here. That's how you get your questions answered live during the show. Let's see, what other questions do we have? What does a trolling rig look like as far as rod, reel, and line? So you could use a 50 wide to 80 wide trolling reel. That's going to be your best bet for 39 or 44-hour trips. Something with 35, 40, 45 pounds of drag or more. And you want to make sure that it has 2 speeds, especially for those 39 and 44-hour trips. You can get away with something a little smaller for the 5-hour half day, but something with a lot of low-end torque and high-speed options, especially for that 39-hour trip. And it's a bigger reel, something that's considerably large is what you're looking for. As far as rod, I generally like putting it on a solid, like kind of broomstick style stand-up rod. That way I can also use it for bottom fishing. So I put it on like a 7.5, 8 foot grouper stick. So that way I can troll with it. And then also, once we get out there, you can cut that troller off and use it for amberjack or for big Goliath grouper, gag grouper, that kind of thing, or sharks. And then the line, you want to use 80 to 100 pound. Most of the time we use 80 pound braid with an 80 pound top shot. And that works pretty well for trolling as far as our 39 hours and 44 hours. What do I expect to catch on a 39-hour trip in March? The same thing we're catching now. Red grouper, scamp grouper, mangrove snapper, vermilions, lanes, porgies, almacos, maybe a tuna, maybe a wahoo, maybe a kingfish. But that's what we're mainly targeting. If you rent a rod and reel, you can only fish with 1 rod at a time. So renting 2 rods is only going to still allow you to fish with 1 rod. So I would only rent one one rod because you can only fish with one rod, to answer your question. Let's see what other questions. When are we going to see the video from the slow pitch jigging trip? We should see it very soon. I would expect it any day now. Hopefully sooner than later. How is fishing during a stalled front? Well, that stalled front that's coming up that we talked about earlier in the show is going to bring some severe weather, so most likely we wouldn't be fishing. But if you get one of those occluded fronts that stalls on top of us, what will happen is if it's not a severe pressure gradient bringing in that line of showers like this one coming up next weekend looks like it might, if it's just stalled on top of us not really doing much, a lot of times the downfall of that would be the static barometer. So you want the barometer moving. Whenever the barometer is moving, high pressure settling in, or a high pressure is moving away, or a low pressure is incoming, or a low pressure is receding, that's going to give you better fishing because it's going to give you that moving barometer. A falling barometer is my favorite. Increasing barometer is good too. Static barometers are not good. So you got that high pressure settles on you and it's not moving, it's staying there. You get that east wind for 3 days in a row. You've got that crystal clear bluebird sky, not a cloud in the sky. People onshore like, it's so gorgeous out. It was so beautiful. The weather's so nice. I wish it was like this all the time. I hate that because that's crappy fishing. Static high barometer is beautiful onshore. It is a nice little breeze. It's not too hot, not too cold. Typically the humidity is super low, but it's crap fishing. Static low barometer is bad too. When the barometer gets real low and stays low on that real low pressure like a stalled front, that's not a good situation either. And the dinosaur popping up, I have no idea what that is. It's probably something to do with Twitch or Trovo or whatever we got going on tonight. We're streaming all over the world, as Josh put it. I think that's what you said, right, Josh?
I called him Mr. Worldwide.
Mr. I think that's a rapper.
Yeah, it's Pitbull, I believe. It's Captain Worldwide now.
Captain. I'm the captain now. What bugs in the... Oh, that's regarding fishery stuff. Do you troll at all on a 10-hour trip? We do some trolling on our 10-hour trips, but it's very rare. Most of the time, you're going to see trolling happening on a 5-hour half day, a 39-hour, or a 44-hour. So that's the best option for trolling, 39-hour, 44-hour, 5-hour half day. But remember, all our trips are bottom fishing trips. We're out there to go bottom fishing, so the boat's focused on taking people bottom fishing. So that's going to be the focus, and we might just be cruising, and the boat doesn't slow down if you hook a mackerel or you got a little kingfish hooked up. So you got to make sure you have a big reel to retrieve that fish while the boat's moving. Keep that in mind because, again, bottom fishing trip, not a trolling trip. Thoughts on Goliath grouper harvesting? We launched into that in a big way today during our Bass Pro Shops seminar. So we've only got a few minutes left tonight, and that's a little bit more than a 9-minute conversation, but very short, abbreviated version of what we discussed today in our Bass Pro Shop seminar is, yes, I fully support the harvest of Goliath grouper, limited harvest for Goliath grouper across the state. They're basically, what a lot of people are not understanding is they're proposing only 250 Goliath grouper for the entire state, both east and west coast. So from Pensacola to Big Bend, from Big Bend to Key West, from Key West to Miami, all the way up to Jacksonville, 250 fish. That's not a lot of Goliath grouper. and it's a very small window as far as their size limit they're allowing you to kill, and it's only 250 fish. It's a lottery system, and it's very expensive. It's going to be like $500 a tag they're proposing. So not a lot of people are going to do it. Not a lot of fish are going to be killed, and the fish that are killed are going to give scientists a lot of needed data. We have to have fisheries being prosecuted to create dead fish to create an age and growth composition data chart. Fisheries dependent science, fisheries independent science, both are needed to complete a stock assessment and allow scientists to keep the thumb on the pulse of the fish and the fishery and the fishery's health. So you have to have fishermen or fisher ladies out there prosecuting the fishery or participating in the fishery to produce the science that you need to keep the health of the stock, as far as making sure you're keeping up to date with how it is. And we haven't allowed Goliath grouper harvest since before I was born. It's been that long. So let's get out there and kill a few fish and get some science on it. I fully support managing fisheries based in science, not feelings. That's the important part here, is everybody's, no, you can't kill a Goliath grouper. They're very pretty. And no, they're important and they're apex predators. Yeah, well, let's prove it. Let's prove it. Let's get some science. Let's have some dead fish. Let's create an age and growth composition chart and see where we're at, where the health of the fishery is. And the only way you can do that is by having a dead fish, having a fishery open. This is a very limited opening, very limited harvest, and it's very highly regulated. Kim, yes, you will have to buy tags to participate in the Goliath grouper limited harvest. And fish tags essentially make sure that only those number of fish are harvested. So it's an easy way for managers to make sure only a certain number of fish are harvested, because if you can only harvest a fish, if you got a tag, it's the same way they manage deers, or same way they manage, not deer, but gators. I think it's like elk or something. I don't know. I'm not a big, huge hunter. Not that I have anything against hunting. I just haven't done it a lot. But it's very common in hunting. It's very common in alligators, where you have to have a tag to go out and kill an animal or participate in a privilege of taking part in a limited resource. Let's see. Limited natural resource. What other questions do we have? Think Hubbard's Marina should offer scuba lessons. We don't offer scuba lessons. We don't do anything diving related, but there are a lot of places around that do. Jim's Dive Shop, Aquatic Sessions, Suncoast Dive Shop, Bill Jackson's. Those are a few of the big names that come to my mind. I got certified at Aquatic Obsessions. Jim's Dive Shop, Teresa, Mama T, as they call her, is awesome. And then Chad over at Suncoast is a really, really cool dude. And, of course, Bill Jackson's. That's a local mainstay. So all great options if you want to get certified. Are we going to take beginning divers offshore and throw them in the water? Absolutely not. That's a liability I do not even want to explore. That is an insurance bill that I don't even want to see. We are not getting involved at diving or dive certification. How much are your VIP specials this time of year? Don't know what you're asking about. Maybe the Regulars Club. We do have a Regulars Club, and that is on our website under the info tab. There's the Regulars Club information, and it outlines the 3 different levels of the Regulars Club. Basically, if you're fishing a lot, it makes it more affordable for you to go fishing more. Brody Mills, appreciate those 200 stars, man. Do Goliath eat smaller grouper? That is a very contentious, loaded question. You might not realize it, but it is. A lot of people argue over that. Scientists will tell you no. Goliath grouper naturally eat crustaceans like lobster, stone crabs, and smaller prey items. They don't make a habit of feeding on reef fish like grouper and snapper. However, they're opportunistic feeders, and when you have a grouper or snapper struggling on the spear of a shaft or struggling on a hook, they will eat them, as we've all experienced. But scientists will tell you, this isn't Dylan Hubbard, this is just parroting the science. Scientists will tell you that they do not eat grouper and snapper. They're mostly a crustacean eater, but they eat everything, in my experience. But who knows? They'll even eat schools of bait. It's pretty crazy. How much are the 12-hour extreme trips? They're $350. What is the biggest fish a customer has ever caught on your charter? A lot of different ones. Big 116-pound Cubera snapper recently, 112-pound amberjack pretty recently, 105-pound true black grouper, about a 68-pound gag grouper. We've got some other big ones, 12, 13, 14-pound mangrove snappers. We get a lot of big fish. It just kind of depends on big sharks, too. Gotten some 10, 12-foot sharks. What other questions do we have here? What is beta shark that keeps popping up on the screen? I don't know. I don't know what that is. It's probably from Twitch or Trovo. Someone made fun of me saying fisheries management based in science. Made me giggle. When is the next slow pitch jig fishing trip? We'll probably have one of those come March. I don't have a date in front of me because we got to coordinate with the camera team and our media team and pick a date that works well there, and then we'll announce it. Was so cool to see so many captains show up at the Capitol the other day. What's the next step now? So we wrote a little article, a little write-up about what happened at the Capitol in Tallahassee with Senate Bill 2508. And we don't have a lot of time left in the show and don't want to launch down that road too much at the end of the show. But we'll be posting the update from that trip here probably tomorrow sometime, maybe even emailing it out depending on what Josh and Jared thinks is best. But basically what happens next is just hurry up and wait and see. They gutted the bill. A lot of the concern has died down because all of the guts that we were worried about were taken out of the bill through a last-minute amendment. But there's still a lot of concern in the fact that, hey, it could change in conference when they're finalizing the appropriation. So it's one of those things that you just got to continue to monitor and don't take your eye off the prize because as we saw with that bill being slipped in there, they tried to sneak it past us, sneak it past the general public, and luckily someone was keeping their eye on it, and it blew up. It blew up in their face, and we went up there and said, hey, this is something we won't stand for, and luckily our voices were heard through your help amplifying that message, and they listened. So it was an all-around, I think, a positive experience, and it was really cool going up there and kind of seeing a little bit more about state government. Pretty well versed on federal fisheries and how federal fisheries work. I'm pretty well versed at state fisheries and how state fisheries work, but as far as state politics and legislation, wasn't something I was as proficient in. So it was pretty cool watching that for sure and learning more about that firsthand. Let's see. I think that's about all we have time for. If you have any more questions, as always, you can always just text us at that phone number. We'll try to get to them as soon as we can through the day tomorrow, or you could join us next week for another episode of the live stream show. Keep in mind, we do this show every Sunday night right here on the Hubbard's Marina Facebook and YouTube channel. So hopefully we'll have you join us again in the very near future for another episode of this Sunday night live stream show. Also, don't forget, every Friday morning, 8:15 a.m., we have our Fox 13 news segments. Every Saturday morning from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m., we've got our Real Animals radio show. This coming Saturday and the coming Saturday after that, Captain Mike Anderson is out of town, so I'm riding solo. The boss isn't home, and I'm unsupervised in the air chair, as they call it, for the Saturday morning radio show. So looking forward to that. Hopefully you'll join us in the morning. You can listen live on the radio, or we stream it right here to our Facebook page as well. And then next week, again, Sunday night, every Sunday night, we've got our live stream show. Our supporters group, our supporters after show will be starting at 9:50. 9:50, so about 15 minutes or so after the end of the show. The supporters after show starts. If you're not a supporter yet, maybe think about joining. It's pretty fun. We do some live videos through the week, share a little bit more personal information, some behind the scenes stuff, and you get better one-on-one communication and your own private after show after every one of these live shows too. So check out the supporters page. It's only $4.99 a month. You get a pretty big value for basically less than $5 a whole month. So not even 50 cents a day, get more behind the scenes information and connectivity. So check it out. Also, don't forget, this live show and all our live shows are brought to you by our good friends over at Gator Jim's Tackle, 3301 Pinellas Point Drive South. Check them out. Tell them Hubbard's Marina sent you. Big shout out to our other fishing friends, partners, and sponsors at the Real Animals Radio Show: Garmin Electronics, Yamaha Outboards, Bass Pro Shops, Engel Coolers, Salt Strong, Aquatic Nutrition, Sport Fishing Chums, Cleanse Oil, and Bull Bay Rods. Don't forget to check out Hubbard's Marina on TikTok, Pinterest, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, Trovo, and now Twitch and the Nextdoor app. Check them out. Follow our pages, guys. Mr. Worldwide. Captain Worldwide. I like that. We're going to have to throw that into the end of that list. Also, supporters after show, 9:50. Don't forget to join us for that. So we've got next week, again, another episode. Hopefully we'll see you again. Hopefully you enjoyed the show. And next week starts Waypoint TV. That's right. These shows will be uploaded to Waypoint TV's platform. You'll be able to catch us right there on Waypoint TV. So this show's turning into a TV show next week. So stay tuned. Big things coming in 2022, y'all. Let's see who won a 39-hour fishing trip for one person. 39-hour trip for one person. Let's see who the lucky winner is tonight. Drum roll, please. Jeff Malinio from Palm Harbor, a local boy, won the 39-hour. Congratulations, Jeff. So hopefully we'll see you again next week. Tight lines, y'all. Don't forget, if you're too busy to go fishing, you're just too darn busy. Hopefully we'll see you soon inside Johns Pass at Fish Famous Hubbard's Marina. Thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Hopefully